who you wound up supporting in the election, presidential election.
None of your business.
None of my business?
None of your business.
Denzel Washington isn't just another Hollywood star. He's a voice of reason in a world obsessed with outrage. But what happens when the noise of the media drowns out genuine understanding? And are we willing to take responsibility for our own lives instead of relying on external systems? Stay tuned as we dive deep into Denzel's powerful message that challenges not only woke culture, but also our own perspectives on race, responsibility, and the media's influence. You know how Hollywood has always been about provoking controversy, telling people powerful stories, and making people talk? Well, lately it seems that it is not the case anymore. It is there that people have this thing called woke culture, which means people fighting for issues like gender, race, and even orientation. But while that has introduced some positive changes, it has also created a bit of a stir. Some have called it exaggerated, and now actors and filmmakers are too careful not to displease the masses. Now picture 3 all-time great movie stars, Denzel Washington, Sylvester Stallone, and Clint Eastwood coming out against this. These guys have been in the business for longer than most can count, and they've witnessed the transformation of Hollywood. But they're not exactly thrilled with the way things are going. To them, political correctness is what is slowly choking the creative expression that made Hollywood, well, Hollywood.
See, people, first of all, they say in Hollywood, like that's a place. We're in the movie business, and we live in Los Angeles. But I'm not in Hollywood. I don't have anything. I don't know what that really means to be in Hollywood. I have a good job. I'm an ordinary guy with an extraordinary job. But in Hollywood, there's no place where Hollywood people, well, maybe there is a place where Hollywood people meet, but I don't go there in Hollywood. Nah, I can't shoot today, man. I gotta go meet some people. I gotta go in Hollywood. Yeah, I gotta go be in Hollywood. You know,
I love that.
ride around and tell my driver.
In interviews and public talks, they've made it clear. They think that Hollywood has always been about a clash of concepts and freedom of speech without boycotting. Denzel, Stallone, and Eastwood aren't against progress, but they're worried that woke culture is choking the movies we get. In a recent interview, Denzel didn't hold back, saying, "I believe in addressing problems like racism and inequality, but we should be very careful when we start imposing one-sided viewpoints on art. The beauty of Hollywood is in its diversity of thought and freedom to express oneself without fear of judgment or cancellation." His point: art should be a space for all ideas, not just those that fit a particular narrative. This stance is a big deal, especially in today's Hollywood, where a lot of people are afraid that going against the grain could cost them their careers. But Denzel isn't budging. By standing firm, he's making it clear that the freedom to think and express without fear is critical, not just in art, but in society as a whole.
There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait, I'm not done now. You know, the devil goes, "Oh no, leave him alone. Hey, he's my favorite." Don't bother him. Yeah. Conversely, when the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right.
The debate over woke culture versus creative freedom is a hot topic in Hollywood right now. On one side, supporters argue that Hollywood needs to be held accountable for years of underrepresentation and outdated stereotypes. They believe more inclusive, socially aware content is essential to reflecting modern values. But there's another side, where Denzel, Stallone, and Eastwood stand. They believe that in trying to correct the past, Hollywood is now limiting creativity. For them, art should challenge people, spark debate, and present a range of viewpoints, even the unpopular ones. The risk is that by overcorrecting, Hollywood might lose the bold, fearless storytelling that made it iconic. He's a Hollywood legend, yes, but he also uses his words of knowledge and truth, and addresses things like race, politics, and society.
Right now, under President Obama, over the last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
And there's been so many protests in America, especially during the election. Black Lives Matter movement, for example, and those issues. Has that movement in particular, the Black Lives Matter movement, helped race relations or not?
Listen, we live in America, and in America we have the freedom to express ourselves. We shouldn't take that for granted. So whatever the movements are, whether you agree with them or don't, they have the right to express themselves. So that's one of the great things about being in this country, that you do have the right to protest.
For instance, in one interview when a reporter wanted to know from Denzel about discrimination at the Oscars, he answered quite roughly. He did not choose to become a victim or to put the blame on the system. Instead, he said, if you are seeking for an alibi, you will get one in race or in anything else. You just do the best you can. His message? It is a shame that some people will sit around complaining about their lot in life instead of getting up and working towards a better life. It is about waking up and rising up to a situation even though that situation is not what it ought to be. This is Denzel's approach of making that statement to the society, stating that no matter the injustices in the world, one should not let the injustice enclose him or her. He also discussed a couple of points on the topic of culture in film, and in his opinion, it has much more to do than an issue of race. He noted how Spielberg, who is white, made Schindler's List and how Scorsese, an Italian-American, made Goodfellas. Both were able to tell those stories because they knew the cultural realities that informed the stories. He believes that it is not unkindness because the color of the skin is different from the characters in the movie. No, it is about values. It is about cultural difference. It is about something greater than that man's color.
Could a white director not have?
It's not color, it's culture.
Explain the difference, because I think we're in a
Steven
space
Spielberg
right
did Schindler's List. Martin Scorsese did Goodfellas, right? Steven Spielberg could direct Goodfellas.
Denzel was also not afraid to mention that people nowadays are overwhelmed with information. He worries about how this stream of news, which is frequently filled with people's opinions camouflaged as facts, influences people. He then asks how long more we can continue to absorb all this information without getting confused between what is actually real and what is simply clamor.
So what is the long-term effect of too much information? The polarization of the electorate?
His takeaway? It is important that you do not let your information source control you. Choose wisely. Denzel Washington isn't afraid to tackle tough topics, and his views on woke culture, responsibility, and society hit hard. One of his key messages is that we need to be more critical of the information we consume. He warns us not to just take everything at face value, especially in a world where viral outrage and snap opinions dominate. His point is that we've got to step back, think critically, and not let ourselves get swept up in the endless noise. He believes that the divisiveness pushed by woke culture is tearing us apart, and instead, we should be holding our officials accountable for uniting us, not dividing us further. In a world where everyone seems to be on their own side, he calls for unity. Denzel sees this moment as an opportunity to reflect and asks a tough question. Are we really working together as a country, or are we just pretending while tearing each other down? But Denzel doesn't stop there. He brings the conversation back home, literally. He believes that real change starts within our own families, not with external systems. Sharing a story about a young boy in Chicago, Denzel points out that while many want to blame the system, it's the foundation or home that makes the difference. He reflects on his own life, how having a father present helped steer him in the right direction, while many of his friends, without that guidance, ended up in prison.
I think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds. I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, yeah, they're little yummy. Said, little yummies. Look up. Little Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer. And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
Makes no sense.
You blame the system? Yeah. It starts in the house. It starts in the home. And yeah, well, my father got locked up. Like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 to 25. One did 28, this and that. I was the only one of the 3 that had a father. Even though my parents were together, but I still had a father who was a gentle man. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7. We were all doing enough to get locked up. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing, and the system got them. So I don't, the system is rigged, but why? All the more reason not to help it.
For Denzel, it's simple. We can't just blame society or the system for everything. Change begins at home with strong family values and personal responsibility. And that, he believes, is where we'll truly start to make a difference. He ties this idea of unity and accountability to how we interact with each other, especially when it comes to race. Denzel's take? It's simple. Real connections between people, no matter their background, come from having real conversations. You can't force people to love or even like each other through laws or government policies. It's up to us, as individuals, to take that first step, ask questions, and genuinely engage with one another.
The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
This is a direct challenge to the idea that top-down approaches, like laws or policies, can fix deep-rooted social issues. Denzel's message is clear. Real change happens through open dialogue and personal interaction, not through rules and regulations. It's a call for personal responsibility when it comes to building bridges across communities. As Denzel talks about the importance of communication, he also reflects on his own life, driving home the value of hard work and personal accountability. He shares a story from when he was younger, working as a garbage man in his hometown of Mount Vernon, New York. He jokes that compared to that, working in movies is easy.
I like being a garbage man better. But they weren't bad jobs. It's like, people say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie. I'm like, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax. I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over. Get out of here. You know, your son got shot in the face. That's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury.
His point is crystal clear. Real work, the kind that shapes your character, comes from everyday struggles. The kind of work most people don't see. And it's that type of effort that really defines success. Denzel Washington cuts through the illusion of Hollywood fame with one powerful comment. Hollywood is nothing in comparison. He's not here for the celebrity worship or the idea that success comes from popularity. In a world where woke culture often puts celebrities on a pedestal, Denzel keeps it real. He reminds us that true success is built on hard work, not on fame or how many headlines you make. Denzel then goes to the media, especially the modern world media and its functions. He points out a big problem. If you don't read the newspaper, you're blind. If you do, you're half blind.
Oh yeah, what they say? I was running for president. No, I voted. No, what they say? I switched. Yeah. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it.
So what do we do? In the words of Denzel, the problem is not being first, but being right first. In a world where news is more about speed rather than facts, he appeals to the media to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The effects of sloppy journalism, he says, are not a myth. It can harm people and ruin their lives. His message is simple but strong. The three values that will help cope with the modern world's problems are individualism, rationality, and cooperation. This isn't Denzel, it's not shallow stories or instant opinions. He is the peak of critical thinking, of not accepting what others tell you and not accepting the surface level. At the end of the day, he just wants Hollywood to be a place where creativity thrives, where actors, directors, and writers can explore different ideas without the fear of being shut down. In his eyes, that's what will keep the magic alive.
Mean world that we've created for our children. The least we can do is consider what we've done and think about the young people, the future, and individually, collectively do the best we can to try and turn this thing around. I blame no one. I look in the mirror. On the other side of it, what an opportunity we have, because tomorrow's the first day of the rest of our lives.
What do you think about Denzel Washington's views on hard work versus fame? And how do you feel about the role of celebrities in shaping our values? Leave your answers in the comments section below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys soon.